Hi everybody, this is Doug Garza. We're back with another video. Now, last video we went ahead and talked about the update plan and what's going to be done with Atomic Science. I did actually start to make some progress after I made that video. We actually do have some functional content, some things to actually work on, and various other things. Ignore the jukebox, as I was testing another mod here earlier and actually toying around with it. So we have a tab now. Nothing is localized at the moment, but we have all the basic items done. The only item that is currently missing is the thermometer, which I plan to add later because it's not the most important block to work on. But we have the hazmat armor, which I think I might have showed off in the previous video. I don't remember, but we do actually have it. So we can wear the... I'm already wearing, I said. So it does work properly. You can, of course, shift-click these all off, shift-click them back on. They should work with the Spencers. I've yet to test to see if that is actually something that does work out by default. It uses its own armor material that has 0 armor protection, so if you're wearing this, you're not going to gain protection. I do plan to make alternative versions in the Armory mod that will give you protection while at the same time providing radiation. There is still a few little problems with it. We do have some glitches where the model is not quite right. For example, you can see through the shoulder blades. I believe this was a bug that was in the older version that nobody ever bothered to fix. Of course, I will be fixing that and adjusting that. There are also plans to adjust the model for the player itself as well to get a much cleaner looking render, because we have this issue where the arms kind of stick through this. This has to do with the fact that vanilla armor, which if we switch over here, is kind of designed to be more of a shoulder blade type thing rather than being a full system. Now, how Minecraft actually renders the armor in this game is that it just expands the player model out and then re-renders it with a different texture. So you're physically getting two of the same models rendering, hence why we can actually throw this onto the player and we can get a glove-like render. But what I would like to do is actually go in and shrink this down and make this much nicer. Additional to this, we don't see the glove in first person, so that's another thing that will have to be fixed over time. There's, of course, issue tickets for all of this up on the thing. For those who actually have not been following, let me go over here. So I did post it on Twitter and the Discord that we actually are using GitHub for the project plan and tracking. This is being done, A, because it keeps me on track, because I'm very bad about getting off track and wanting to go work on other things that are not part of the current schedule. Another thing is eventually we'll be able to use this to let other people come in and do work. For example, I actually have somebody else working on rebuilding the models right now, and they're actually going to use this issue ticket to go through and know exactly what models need to be rebuilt. And what I'm talking about rebuilding models is we're not going to actually make new models for this. What we're going to do is we're going to take the existing models and fix them. So let me actually show this off. It'll be easiest to kind of explain this in the video. This whole video is not scripted at all, so hence why we're just kind of going off on several different tangents here while we're going through everything. So I actually have got all the models. I dug them all down. I actually have older copies of the 1.6.4 version. I could not find a good copy of the 1.5.2 version that had models in it, so we actually had to go find one of the more recent 1.6.4. I know when I say recent, it's weird to hear that, but one of the last few versions that was released before Cal Clovey kind of dropped the mod into Resin Induction and merged it in there. So what we have in here is we have Atomic Science. I have the RI models, so the RI models do exist, and we have all of those in there. I did find all those, but I went through and I got the 1.6.4 Atomic Science models just to be sure that we actually were getting the appropriate models for what we were doing. And we've got them all in here, so I can go into Atomic Science, I can go into the textures. We have all the textures. I have all these. I will have to redo some of these textures. We are missing some. Some of them just are not good enough for the new version. Toxic Waste, for example, is definitely one I want to fix, because this basically looks like puke is what this looks like, and that's a thing that a lot of people said. I'll make sure I upload the older textures someplace so you guys can get a hold of them if you guys want to use the older textures. We have all the item textures, we have everything else, so we're all good. We have all the models. But with the models, and this is the part where we kind of need to fix things, these were all built with Techni. Now, this was the system that was used back in the day. It worked. It is highly outdated. It's to the point where you cannot find downloads of this software anymore. And if I actually lost this computer at any given point, I would not be able to reinstall Techni, and all my models would be gone. Well, they wouldn't be gone in the sense because I actually know a little trick with Techni. If you hit 7-zip and you open it up, right there's your model. And your model contains all the data. So worst case scenario, if I had to ever recover all these models, I knew how to recover them. But with the Techni models, you get stuff. You can make really good looking models, and this is the same thing you could do with any of the newer stuff too. So like Blockbench, Tabula, they all can make good models. But the problem with them is you only get cubes, and these cubes have to overlap to work. So So if I keep going through here and I keep clicking the cubes, you will see that we get overlap. So between these two, we get overlap, which causes Z fighting. We get overlap here, which causes Z fighting. We get overlap here, which causes Z fighting. And what I mean by Z fighting is you get this little glitch of where the stuff overlaps, and you can see the textures invert and flip back and forth. It has to do with the fact that Minecraft's render system is not actually designed to handle that. You will find that there are some game engines that can deal with overlap without a problem, and it will render basically first come first serve, but with Minecraft's system, for some reason, it doesn't always render the same order, which then causes OpenGL to flip between the pixel data, which then causes the Z fighting and everything else. But we want to fix this, and this is not hard to fix. What you would effectively do is take this model, pull it into Blender, and we would take this point and just move it right up there. So you would turn this from a rectangle into like a rhombus, and it would just function because then we would have overlap. We would then also do a really cool thing and delete some extra faces. So, for example, if we rotate this a little bit here, you can't see this back face here, so we can get rid of that. You can't really see this back face right here on the back of this cube, so we can get rid of that. Interface right down here we can get rid of, so we can get rid of a lot of faces to increase the performance of the model. We can smooth the model out, make sure all these pieces are connected. We can clean up some detail in here, and we can just kind of enhance the model so it looks the same, at least for people that are familiar with the older system, because anybody who's coming in new to this mod is not really going to care what the models look like as long as they get something that resembles reasonably what they think an atomic science like mod's going to be like, which reality is none of this stuff actually matches real life equivalency, but it looks cool, it works, so I don't see any point in changing a lot of these. There's a few models I kind of do want to change, like a chemical extractor I think I kind of want to redo. It works. The funny thing with this is, I believe this model was actually made to work as a transformer or something for another mod, and we somehow got it as a chemical extractor. We'll definitely keep the model though because it works. And this one actually I might redo in something like Blockbench or something because it doesn't really make sense to have an OBJ for this one. Let me go ahead through here. Yeah, this one would work really well as a Blockbench style model. So I'll go through and probably do that, toy around with that. I still might have my asset developer go ahead and turn it into an object model anyways, just so we can maybe turn this into an octagon or something, so we get a little bit more detail. If you go through things like the fusion reactors, the fusion reactor is an exact reason why I actually do want to do this. This one has a lot of overlapping parts. So we have parts here that overlap, and these could be turned into one solid piece. Because there's no animation. If you don't have any animation, then you can merge them all in the same object. Although this one I think is meant to animate in the middle. It's a little confusing because most people aren't going to see the visuals for the reactor, and I may actually make versions that do not have 3D renders just to allow people to just opt out of needing the 3D renders. So you got this one that's got a 3D render. I don't even know what was really meant by this one. I think this was actually given to Calculavi to be used as the reactor core itself. I think the concept is what somebody thought is you would surround the core with these, and we may recycle the model for that and just make a new model for the boiler. I don't think anybody will mind because I think people are more interested in the concept of building the reactors and don't really care too much about what the extracting machines look and everything else. So we're definitely going to do that. After all, people did vote, they didn't really care if the mod changed too much. We've got the quantum assembler, which for some reason doesn't render all of its parts even though they're all there. This machine is definitely not coming back in the mod. I did explain that in the last episode. We did. But we also got reactor bombs and everything else. This one's another one that I would love to see made into an object model, so we do that. Now I'm just going to go ahead and stop here before I go through all of them. Actually, one more I will look at is the turbines. The turbines are ones that absolutely have to be updated and turned into object models because these have so many parts in them that they need to be optimized or they cause FPS problems. But when that one's here, we'll go back into the thing. So we got that. Going back into the content we've got, so we've got all the cells updated. So we've got our antimatter cell. We've got our strange matter cell, so these look, and this is actually what's called dark matter. I may actually go through and make a different render for this one and keep this one and call it red matter. I am tempted to add a few more items into the mod just to make it make more sense. And we have red matter in ICBM, but the recipe used strange matter or dark matter in later versions, but then it was still called red matter. So I kind of would like to make something that is literally called red matter that would be more useful. So we got these cells, we got our breeder rods, we got our fuel rods, we got our emptor sets, rhenium, everything else. Cool thing with the cells is they've been turned into a generic fluid item. So these two items actually are the same here. These are both generic fluid. You can just tell by the localization that they're the same. These will actually change localization in the future in order to say that this is a water cell and this is a deuterium cell. Then we'll have antimatter. These are both the same items. So these ones are called item fluid cell, and these ones are item power cell. I can actually show this off in the code. So we got item fluid cell, very basic, just MBT based fluid container. Supports any fluid you can stick in it, so it's very similar to like the wooden buckets mod I make as well. Any fluid can go into it. Right now I do have it hard coded to a limited set of fluids that is supported by these two maps. So that you can't stick anything in them at the moment, and plus there's no interaction to stick stuff in them, so the only way we'd be able to stick fluids in them would be to actually go and put it into a machine that would then do it, which it still wouldn't work because I actually have it blocked down here, down below. There actually is a method, if I can find it. Can't support fluid, which when you go to fill it, it will basically just say no. And that reason is we just don't have textures for it. When I do get all the renders updated and everything, get them all set up, we will go ahead and do that. The other item, of course, I said we have an item powered cell. The plan is to do with this one is to add special functionality. I actually have an interface methods up here what we're going to do, which is going to call on update, and this will be used for the antimatter and strange matter. So the plan is that antimatter, of course, when you drop it on the ground, is still going to explode. It will not explode right away like it used to be. It used to be you tossed on the ground, then it would just blow up right away. I think in later versions there was a tick handler added to it, so it wouldn't blow up like just right away, but it was still pretty quick. Now what we're going to do is implement a series of different changes. So one, if you drop it, it drops from a high distance, it's just going to break the cell and it's going to explode. But if you drop it from a short distance, it will just sit on the ground, it will slowly tick away, and it eventually will detonate. And how it's going to do this is it's going to slowly decrease a power tick. So there's going to be energy on the item, so it actually is going to be a battery item. You will have to charge it up, and you will have to keep it charged, and if you fail to keep it charged, like your containment fails or your power fails, it will release the antimatter, and the antimatter will make contact with the cell wall and detonate. For those who are familiar with what antimatter is, it literally, the word anti and then matter, it's the opposite of matter. When antimatter and matter combine together, they release pure energy that then destroys things. And this is more dangerous than just an explosive going off, because explosive goes off, it'll release energy via chemical reaction, which then will do most of its damage via pressure wave, is what it actually does. But antimatter, when it does this, not only do you get a pressure wave, but you get that pure energy release, and you get that instantaneous destructive power, because when matter and antimatter combine together, they destroy each other. There is no resistance protection from it, it's gone. The way you actually protect yourself from it is you use a magnetic field to hold it in the middle of a tube that has nothing in it but antimatter. It's a complete vacuum, and that protects it. So we'll have that. When a power fails, it'll destroy that. And the strange matter will have a similar effect. It will not actually explode. What we'll do with strange matter is we'll treat it like kind of like a random system. If anybody's ever played Skyrim and have seen the Rabbit Jack, which is a staff you can hit people with and it will do random actions, we'll do something similar. So we're going to have the strange matter teleport you, we'll have it turn items into different items, we'll have different effects, and this will be used for two purposes. One, it'll just be kind of cool to see. Two, then there will be an actual use case for intentionally releasing strange matter into the world. Of course, I'll be adding machines to make it so you can release strange matter into the world to get these weird effects, rather than destroying a power cell and actually wasting items. Because what the power cell will be is you'll take an empty cell, you'll turn that into a fluid cell, you'll take a fluid cell, and you'll turn that into a powered cell by adding a battery to it. The fluid cell will probably just be a small addition from this cell, so the cell will probably just be a glass tube, and the fluid cell will be a glass tube with like end caps on it or some kind of sealant to it to keep it sealed and everything else. So that's kind of the concept on that. So we've got that done. The rest of these items are basically just really simple items. So the uranium-234, 235, yellow cake, and the fuel rods are just very simple items down here. They literally just use the item class. There's nothing complicated to them. There's no special handling. Actually, these are crafting items. Look at the wrong spot. These are radioactive items. So, actually, I need to turn these into radioactive items. I messed that one up. But either way, really simple items, not very complicated, and that's about it we got on the progress. The plan for today, after I finish this video, I'm going to go and start working on the radioactive blocks. So I'm going to get toxic waste implemented, and I'm going to get the radioactive block implemented. I won't be putting radiation on them right away, simply because I want to wait until later to get the radiation system done. So for all these tickets, you guys can more than welcome to go through here. One of the tickets we actually have on here should be creating a new radioactive system. So I don't want to just use potion effects. I actually want to go through and build something a little bit more solid. I may just later on just do the potion effect system anyways, simply to get this done on time for the release. The plan is to get the milestone. The actual milestone is May 31st is when I want to get the first prototype for 1.7 done. That way then the next month I can immediately update it to 1.12 and get it out the door. So the prototype, that's like the latest. More than likely I'll finish this by mid-month, the prototype, because it's almost done. For the actual milestone, if we actually can go to this, and if it lets me go go to the milestone system. We don't really have a lot that needs to be put in here. I just have to get a few issues fixed with the textures, crate ores, processing machine, reactors, radiation, radioactive blocks. Some of the stuff I may even just be able to finish this month if I keep it up with the pace. Speaking with all the system, I don't think I actually finished doing this. We actually have a project system on here as well. GitHub's got a lot of cool little tools. So I actually have a list of everything that needs to be done on this side. Stuff that's in progress, what's waiting to be tested, documents, and done. You guys can come in here and look at this, and you can keep perfect track of things. You can subscribe to the repository. Of course, you guys can follow me on Twitter, and I will release updates all the time. So for those who don't know, the Twitter, actually, that is not the right button. I love how my Google Chrome randomly will change the MC button to a Twitter button. But you can go, so it's Dark Guardsman on Twitter. Of course, I use Dark Guardsman a little bit everywhere else. But I'll post updates out here, so you got updates where I show off the progress of the mod. I'll be showing various things. I'll probably do clips of various things, but I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys there. That's a bit of a progress updates going on, and I'll come back with more videos.